about recognizing that we have a long history in this country, and those who try to take it away, we should arm ourselves with this kind of information so that we can rebut whatever it is that they're telling us. I've been doing that for a long, long time as a journalist, and Joe Monserrat, who I neglected to say in the very beginning, was a member of the school board, Board of Education of the city of New York. He's an educator. When I met him and when he got that grant to go around the country and visit all these sites and all these discoveries that the Spanish had made. Again, he was a wonderful inspiration. I'm sure that he's looking at me right now and he's feeling very proud. What we want to do now is we want to take this microphone and have some of you make comments about what it is that you feel when you hear this stuff. There's a lot of stuff here that is not really for public consumption, but there is some stuff so that you see what it is that we're up against, we Latinos. Here's somebody who wrote me a letter after he saw a couple of columns I wrote about Hispanic heritage. There's nothing special about Latinos except that they are able to persuade educators and politicians that they deserve special treatment at a tremendous cost to the taxpayers. We're taxpayers too, right? And when we pay taxes, we deserve the same services in whatever language we want to hear them. So, but then there were other, when I write about this, there's a few Latinos who take the other side. And I want to quote one or two of those people because it's very important that, Latinos hardly ever write newspapers. You hear, when you write for a newspaper, you hear from the people who really got mad at you, and the people who liked it put it down and they don't bother to write you a letter. But in this case, when they hear this kind of stuff, Latinos do react. And this is a student who said, I'm planning on one day becoming a teacher. And despite whether or not Latino history is part of the curriculum, trust me, it will be taught. And then someone else who wrote me and said, I don't think, he said he was very grateful, he was going to frame the columns, he was going to save them for his children to read. And then he said, I don't think I'll ever change my co-workers' minds and attitudes toward foreigners. Wrote a Latino who feels he has been discriminated at work. But at least now I'll be able to stop thinking about changing my name. I think you and your words have given me something I thought I had lost, my self-worth. And so that makes it all worthwhile. I can deal with the racists and the bigots who write me letters as long as one person in 100 writes me a letter like this one. And so what we want to do now is hear from you. I would love to have your comments. Again, we want to be on television. Here's your opportunity. So please get up and tell us what you feel, what you heard, if you have a question or if you have a comment, don't be shy. This is the time to speak up. Nobody? Okay.
You can probably tell I'm not a Hispanic. But I'm so delighted to be here. Professor Perez gave a very short but very informative overview of the wonderful Hispanic heritage. It's a very wonderful learning experience for me. From the short presentation, you can tell the great contributions made by Hispanics. And as our president pointed out, the importance of Hispanics in this country will be even greater. And there are so many influential Hispanics. Our president is one of the most influential people in the country. He's not only a perfect role model for Hispanics, he's a perfect role model for all minorities. He's a role model for myself. I'm delighted to be here and very happy to have this learning opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, President Fernandez was just named one of the 100 top Latinos in the country. Otherwise, I would have included him in my speech. When I gave all those examples, we should have had a picture of him, right? Again, there's so much more that I wanted to put in this, and several people who have read this speech have told me, Miguel, what about this, and what about that, and what about the other? I mean, just yesterday, somebody who had read the speech said to me, okay, but what about the Hudson River? Do you guys know what the Hudson River was called before it was called the Hudson River? El Río San Antonio. The Hudson River was discovered by Giovanni Verrazzano, an Italian. But it was explored many years later by Henry Hudson. So they named the whole river after Henry Hudson, and they gave Verrazano only a bridge. And that's what keeps going on here, over and over and over again. So there are hundreds of other examples that I could have used. Hopefully some of you guys, tell us what you feel before we move on to the next part of the program.